Now, there's one story that you just can't get away from today, and that is the news that Stuart Hazel was sentenced yesterday to a minimum of 38 years in prison for the murder of 12-year-old Tia Sharp. At the sentencing, Mr. Justice Nichol, the judge in the case, told Hazel, "Tia was a sparky girl full of life. You took that life from her." And disturbingly, he also said that there is no doubt that you developed a sexual interest in Tia. The records of your internet searching on your mobile phone make it abundantly clear that you were looking for pornographic pictures of preteen girls, which Tia was, pornographic pictures of girls who wore glasses, which Tia did, and even involving incest. A truly awful case. And when Stuart Hazel decided to change his plea to guilty on Monday, Tia's father, Stephen Carter, said that Tia's killer should serve his time and then be hung. So considering cases like this, is it time to take a growing look at the argument to bring back hanging for killings with a sexual element?
I would feel very uncomfortable about that, but this case has really touched me, and primarily because of the picture of Tia. She was just such an ordinary, happy little girl. This wasn't a girl who looked particularly glamorous. She was the kind of girl you'd see in any street, in any inner city street or any suburban street in this country. A gorgeous, ordinary little girl. And then when I read that Hazel had started to look for pictures on the internet of girls of that age with glasses, it really struck a chord with me, because as a young girl with glasses, I was assaulted by somebody, and in a way that I found really unpleasant at the time. And when I told my mother, she just didn't believe me. But now it is a truly shocking case. But the other aspect of this case that I find disturbing is the over-reporting of the intimate detail of the assaults and the grooming of Tia, because we now know exactly how Stuart Hazel groomed her, how he watched her and what he did with her. And I actually I'm not really comfortable with that level of detail being reported.
On the flip side to that, would you not say that it gives parents something to look out for? If you know exactly how it was done, could that then help parents keep an eye out for that kind of behaviour?
I know exactly what you're saying, Andrea, but I actually agree with Janice. I think the over-reporting was just vile. There are things that shouldn't have been in those papers, on front of papers. There were things we didn't have to see to make our minds up about about this man. We didn't have to see photos. And I just think the problem is with all of this, it's so emotive because you can only reflect on your own life. You can only bring it back to your own. So
is this in terms of the argument whether he
all
should
of
be
it
hung,
really? I mean, because you can't be logical about something like this, particularly this case. There's no logic there. You just think about, when you see that family, you think about your own family, your own children, my grandchildren. You know, you can't help that. And the emotive thing is if anybody touched them, I would kill. I have that in me. I have that instinct in me to protect my own and kill. There is nothing, you know, I don't think anybody would say any different. There's nothing you can do. Whether it's right or wrong to feel like that is by the by. We all feel like that. But I do think the other thing is, I think this country is getting to boiling point with all these stories. We all are getting to the point, well, why isn't anything done? Why can't anything be done? To a point where, you know, we'll have a vigilante society if we're not careful. If the police don't bring in some kind of laws, I don't know what that could be, but I feel very, very emotive about that. And I feel that something we all feel, I know we all feel it because you can feel it in the country.
You're absolutely right when you say that, because just listening to the radio yesterday, I got in the car and I'd had the radio on 5 minutes, and within the news there were 2 cases of child sex abuse stories, and it's everywhere we look at the moment. And my worry is it becomes like normal. You know, you get used to hearing this sort of stuff. Going back to what Tia's father said about you know, the life sentence and then being hanged, and I'm with Sherry on this. It's really difficult because I want to sit on a programme that goes to a lot of viewers and be sensible and talk like a sensible grown-up person and not be emotional about it. But it's really hard for me to separate being a parent from those sort of things. And I completely understand where he's coming from. And the frustration that I feel, because the 38-year sentence is a long sentence, but you know, I remember seeing something a good few years ago where it was like an open forum on TV, and they had people that had been sentenced for being paedophiles in the audience, and they were discussing why they do what they do. And one particular paedophile said he couldn't stop it, and even if castration were an option, if that were to stop it, he would have it. And then another paedophile said, well, if that was the case, then we would use implements. So my feeling is, can these people reform, even after 38 years? And so this man will be 70-odd. Are we putting him in prison and paying all this money to keep him there? Is there any point?
I'm sorry.
So life should either mean life, he dies in there, really, which is what I think should happen. But instinctively, I know it's wrong to want the death penalty, but as a parent, I just think, get rid of him.
Nothing
Do you know
justifies,
what I mean?
nothing in my book justifies killing another human being.
I know, it's inhumane.
It absolutely
I
doesn't.
know.
And you can, when people say to me, oh, well, in America, some states have the death penalty. Not the majority of American states have the death penalty, and I like to think of this country as being a country that's probably the most civilised country in the world. We've got so much in our history to be proud of. We're the most cosmopolitan, the most multi-ethnic
We are a very
society.
understanding
and
society.
I don't want to
But there
add
comes
the
a point, Janet, where you have to...
No, Lisa, let me make my point. I think that we
There's
have
always
to
a reason why these
on,
people...
Lisa, on television, you can't just say it's OK to kill people.
I'm not saying it's OK to kill anybody.
It's under no circumstances.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
All right for the death penalty.
What I want to put to you is, we are a very understanding society, and I like to think that I'm an understanding person, and I'm trying to be sensible and grown up about this topic. But my feeling is so powerful that
Well, you're
I've had
talking
enough.
about revenge.
No, I'm not talking about revenge.
It
I've
is
just had
revenge.
enough of trying to understand why people commit these heinous crimes. We keep saying, well, it happened to them, so they can't help it.
By killing somebody.
I think it's really interesting
Life should
that
mean
Lisa...
life, then. He should go in there and he should die.
No,
in
well,
there.
we're not
Lisa,
discussing
I think it's
that.
really interesting that you make the point that you're trying to stay level-headed and think like a grown-up about it all, because I think what we're talking about here is a difference between justice and revenge. Because although, you know, as a society, we don't have the death penalty over here, whether it's for moral or political reasons, I think it basically comes down to that fact, because if you were to make the decision whether someone was to live or die, it would be very difficult not to bring the case that you're sitting on back to a personal level and think, how would I feel?
That's
It would
the
be very
problem.
difficult to do that.
That's the problem. You always bring it down to
I don't
you.
believe
And
there should be a death sentence, and I also have to say, you know, on death row in America, they can sit on there for 25 years, so you're still paying for them to be in prison and all that anyway.
They have killed people in America and made a mistake.
Okay,
That is
obviously
true.
it's a really difficult subject, and of course our thoughts and condolences go to Tia's family.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break.